Used to be a hustler. I used to be a runner. Came from the gutter. Now we be on that struggle. Used to be in a life full of crime. I gotta hustle and do whatever it takes to survive up in the jungle. Talking rock bottom from the gutter. I used to get in trouble, but now I'm beyond the struggle.
Hey everybody, it's Mark with Beyond the Struggle. I am back again with Mike Wagner. We are going to finish up our two-part series and take off from where we ended last time. I believe you were coming off the plane, right? Coming back from your summer vacation.
Summer vacation in military school.
Yeah. So let's hear what's in store from here. So I watched it again last night, and I distinctly remember us ending where you were just getting off the plane and you already had made a decision before your feet even hit the tarmac, I think you said.
Yeah, I had made the decision before I even boarded the plane.
All right.
I wasn't going back.
Okay.
But like I said, that was because I had an immature mind, and my life would have changed if I would have stayed in military school.
Right, because your dad made you an ultimatum about staying.
The world was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, when I got off the plane, first thing I told my mom and dad, because they were waiting on the tarmac, and we were at Burbank Airport, California.
Okay.
And I told them I'm not going back. Those are the first words out of my mouth. They were just both like shocked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As any parent would have been.
Yeah. And the thing is I actually liked it. That was the weird part. I liked it, but I didn't want to be away from my friends.
Right.
My so-called friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I had a Datsun B210 hatchback my dad bought for me about a month before I went. So the following day, after I slept, I went over to my buddy's house with another friend, and I really liked his sister, the guy's house we were at.
Right.
So I told the guy, he asked me if he could borrow my car. I said, sure. He goes, I'm just going to go to the store. He's gone like 2 hours and comes walking through the door. He's going, your car's totaled. I go, what do you mean my car's totaled? Right? So we got a ride to where my car was at. It was out in Quartz Hill. Right? We looked at it. The car's destroyed. I called my dad. I went to see my dad at our shop, which used to be on the corner of Lancaster Boulevard and Sierra Highway. It was called Wholesale Mattress Distributors.
Okay.
I told him what happened. My dad got so mad he punched me in the mouth. That's the first time and last time my dad ever hit me.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. And it was like, yeah, I mean, and the thing was, it wasn't my buddy's fault.
Right.
This gal ran a stop sign and T-boned him. Boom. And even though we had insurance, I didn't have full coverage insurance for the car. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, beyond that, yeah, that was like, I don't know, to me, that was like the beginning of the end.
Right.
You know what I mean? My spiraled down. It was going to take a minute. It'd take a couple more years.
Okay.
Possibly about 3 years.
Before it went.
Yeah. Well, I went to jail, like I said. I was 17. I went over this in the last one.
Right.
And then at this time, I am 17. I'm not 18 yet.
Right.
But I got into trouble. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the trouble I got in that started the ball rolling is I went into Albertsons out in Quartz Hill and stole 2 packs of Marlboro Reds. And they tried stopping me at the door. And I fought these guys, and there happened to be an off-duty cop in there. And he tackled me to the ground. and they arrested me. And then I get to the substation, and the detective says, "We're making an example of you. We're sending you to juvenile hall." And that did happen. They sent me to juvenile hall. I was there for about a month. And then, like I went over before, they put me on probation and everything like that. And at this time, I was doing a lot of cocaine.
But you're still underage. You're still under 18 at that.
Yeah, I'm still under 18.
Right.
Yeah, and I was doing a lot of blow at 17.
Okay.
We were freebasing cocaine. And yeah, and the crazy thing is when I stole those cigarettes, I had money in my pocket. I just wanted something for free, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of me getting into trouble. And my coke use started spiraling out of control. I figured I stole from my parents probably close to $100,000. Cash, jewelry, and stuff like that.
Right.
Hawking it to get high. Smoke my coke. God, with what I know now, if I could set the wheel back, there's so many things I would have done different. But because I'm stubborn, bullheaded, I didn't care about consequences. I didn't understand what consequences were.
And drugs do that to you. You know what I'm saying? They already give you a misperception of what your choices are going to be. You know what I mean? So
exactly. And then it wasn't long after I turned 18. I'll never forget this. We were partying at a place called the Dunes out in Quartz Hill.
Okay.
We used to have desert parties there.
Right.
So I was with a friend of mine, and we went to 7-Eleven. And I went in there. I was drunk and tried to steal 2 bottles of TJ Swan.
All the good stuff.
The good stuff. And I got caught. And they called the cops. They came and arrested me, and they were trying to get me for burglary.
But you're not a minor no more.
No, I'm 18 years old.
So we're back to 18 again.
Yeah, 18. Okay. This happened, I think it was like about this time of year when I was 18. That was in 1984. Yeah. So, yeah, I went in front of the judge, and because I was 18, they couldn't send me to YA. Right? They took me off of juvenile probation, but they put me on formal probation where I had to test, call in. I had a color. It was like
some adult stuff.
Ocean blue. Yeah. Ocean blue 10.
Right.
Yeah. When you heard that, you had to go and test the next day. I don't know how I did it, but for 2 years, I never tested dirty. I don't know how the hell
I'm sure we all.
I don't know how that happened. And I was using the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure we could figure it out.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it started getting to the point where I started selling weed. Weed wasn't enough. I got introduced to methamphetamine, and that was the beginning of the end.
And up to that point, were you still using coke?
No, I'd stopped.
Okay.
I'd stopped.
When you went to jail, that time you got that break, decided
I was
done
good
with that crap.
Yeah, I'm good with using the coke because it was too expensive. I mean, hell, we were paying $120 a gram. Wow. That was a lot of money in '84.
A lot of money now.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I got introduced to methamphetamine, and I already knew I found a new favorite right there. But it wasn't cheap either.
Yeah.
You know, back then it was a lot different than what they got now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think it warped my mind. That stuff did warp my mind. Like I said about consequences.
Yeah.
My choices that I was making were really poor.
Right.
People I was hanging out with, really poor. And then I got introduced when I was 19. No, I was 20. When I turned 20, I got my own place. I had my own mobile home. and I was selling a lot of speed, right? And the guy I was selling to used to shoot up. Me and my girlfriend broke up, and I thought that'd be a great time to experience the needle.
Nice.
And nobody shot me up. I did it myself. I used to watch him do it, and I did it myself, and I knew I found something I loved. And then it just started spiraling out of control from there. I would love to use people's names, but I won't because I can't.
Understandable.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I got introduced to that, and between selling and shooting, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun for about 9 months. But then I started losing everything. I lost my mobile home. I lost my apartment. I lost like 4 cars. I just started losing everything because I wasn't sleeping, and just staying up for days on end. And yeah, it was May of 1989 is when I'd get my first prison sentence.
Okay. About 5 years after the
Initial
Yes.
from
Right.
from getting off the airplane.
Right.
Yeah. So when I was 22 at the time, just a youngster. I had a really bad habit, and I was breaking into people's houses. I was stealing to support my habit, burglarizing homes.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we go any further on that one, let's talk real quick about your relationship with your parents at that point.
My parents at this point, they'd moved away.
Okay.
They were living in Las Vegas.
They said, "Screw this, I'm done. I can't do this." Okay.
Yeah, they'd been gone for probably a little over a year.
All right.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, I never got to see where they lived in Las Vegas. Not only did they live in Las Vegas for like 5 years, they also lived in Lake Havasu City. Never got to see them there because I was incarcerated. They ended up moving to Pismo Beach and then bought a house back in Palmdale in a place called Amber Ridge. Never got to see them at their house in Pismo Beach. They actually lived in Brownsville, Texas for a few years. And this was all during when I was incarcerated.
Right.
I never got to see them. And anyway, when I was 22, I caught my first term. I got 5 years, 4 months for burglary, 2 counts of burglary. And yeah, prison's, it's a trip when you're just a youngster.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I know. I went in at 18 too, so.
Yeah, and I held my own in there, though. I mean, it's all you can do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Did you use while you were locked up that 5 years?
No. Nope.
Did you have an idea that you wanted to quit and be done with all that?
No. No, because prison warped my mind too.
Right.
Because I was going to come out, be a bigger, better, badass criminal. Yep.
It's weird how that happens.
Yeah. Started learning everything there was about methamphetamine while I was in there. I picked people's brains for hours. It was like...
Now, back in those days, not to get off the subject, but I did want to ask you this last time, and I had planned on asking you, and I'm glad I remembered. When you were in prison that time, it was like, you said like
89 through 92.
Okay, so we'll say 89. Did they have like some like like classes or something that like, integration to back into the society or anything like that while you were in prison?
No, but they did have college courses and stuff like that, and I was taking some college courses in there. Yeah, I got about probably a total of, 40 units while I was in there.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but again, I just wanted to be that guy when I got out, and pretty much ran on parole.
What are you about, what'd you say, about 25?
Yeah, I'm about 24.
When you get out?
Yeah, 25.
About 25,
Yeah, 25.
right? When you get out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I wasn't lasting, but for the whole decade of the 90s, I think I was out a total of 13 months.
Yeah.
For the whole decade. Because I wasn't one of these guys that was getting parole violations. I was always a violator with a new beef.
Yeah. New case.
Always a new case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do one violation in 94. They gave me a year violation. I did 11 months on a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I got out. I was out, I think, 35 days.
Any rehabs or anything like that?
Nah, wasn't. I was chasing the meth.
Right. I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I did. I knew Tarzana was around.
Yeah, see, and I never even knew none of that.
But yeah, so in 95, I got busted. This time I'm getting struck out.
So you already picked up 2 strikes along the way.
Yeah.
In the 90s and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
well,
I don't want to talk about war stories.
But let's talk about, if you don't mind, let's talk about the severity of that kind of stuff. Because
so my strikes came from the 2 burglary convictions that I took as a plea bargain from 1989.
Did they give you 2 right off the top?
Right off the top.
Damn.
When I got busted in 92, right, again, was for battery on a peace officer with injuries.
Okay.
I mean, I won't go into detail on it, you know what I mean? Because that's what this isn't about.
Right.
But that wasn't even a strikeable case.
Right.
And there was actual physical violence involved.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the weird thing.
Right.
So when I got busted for, it was for transporting, distribution, and possession in 95.
Okay.
Or 94, late 94, October 94. There was no plea bargain coming at me. 25 to life was my deal. And they said, we could give you like 30 years because we can give you all your prison enhancement, and a year for each of the charges that you're on right now. Right?
Right.
If you take it, I said, I'm not taking a deal. I go, that's stupid. Because if you take a deal, you can't file a...
Right. Appeal.
I'm having brain farts right now. Yeah, an appeal.
An appeal.
Yeah. So this part's really, really strange. So I go to trial. I'm in jail for like 9 months.
This
before
is
I start trial.
94.
Yeah, I got busted in October 94. Now in May of 95, I start my trial for 3 strikes. Cop got on the stand and lied. I'm just going to say it for what it is.
It is.
He lied about the amount of stuff that he said that he only found because he kept some.
Okay. What happened? I know.
Straight up, he did.
I believe you.
So when I get found guilty in my trial, it didn't take him long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a guy that was with me. He got 16 months. And the crazy thing is, it was all his dope.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't even come to
own up.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not a rat, so I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm just not.
Gotcha.
So when they do the 3 strikes hearing, they had to have 3 things to prove the 3 strikes to push that forward.
Right.
1 is your abstracted judgment. 1 is your fingerprint card. And 3 is your prison photo ID to prove that you're showing.
Yeah, you're a habitual offender.
Yeah, because of my prison ID card, if they have it to go with the 2 burglaries, then that proves beyond reasonable doubt. For whatever reason, and I thought this was an act of God, they didn't have my fingerprint card. They didn't have the prison photo ID. It's called an A2B package.
Okay.
3 strikes package. They were missing 2 of the 3 pieces.
Oh, okay.
So they couldn't give me 3 strikes. They could only give me a normal sentence, and it was all ran concurrent.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought it was an act of God. You should have seen the look on my public pretender's face.
Yeah.
He was like, huh?
So what they give you for that case?
I can't remember the amount of time. It wasn't much because I'd get out in 97. So 3 years.
I believe that's when I
And
met
that's
you.
and with halftime, pretty much halftime. So it was less than 6. It was probably like 5'8".
Yeah, because I think I met you in May of 97.
98.
No, 97.
97.
Because I went to prison
Right.
in 97. I was
Right.
just a kid as well.
So here's the crazy part. And I didn't know this till I got out. I went and seen this gal that I was in contact with, right? I was going out with her daughter, went out with her daughter for a while. And she goes, you know why you beat that 3 strikes? And she told me, she wasn't at my trial or nothing. She goes, they didn't have an ID for you and they didn't have a fingerprint card, did they? I said, how the hell did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
She goes, I got a friend that works in the state records department. And for $10,000, she pulled those files. And because and I told her, she goes, so what do you think? I said it was an act of God. And she goes, you're welcome. I'm not kidding you. That blows my mind to this day.
Right. But we're not done yet.
No, not even close. Anyway, she paid this lady that she had that friend that worked in the state records department and had that stuff pulled out of my files. Yeah. So, and that's that. Wow. And she told me why. Because back in, what was it, early part of 1988, I got accused of stealing a family heirloom from her family.
Okay.
I didn't do it. I said, she goes, I really need that ring back. She goes, I didn't steal it, but you're lucky I happened to be at the house where it was at. And I know who stole it.
Right.
And sold it.
So you helped her get it.
I helped her get that ring back.
So she felt like she owed you.
And yeah, because when I got the ring back, she started crying and everything. And yeah, from that point on, I was in her good graces because there was a lot. I was getting accused of doing a lot of stuff I wasn't doing.
I mean, but you already kind of got the.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like
it was because I was slamming dope.
Yeah.
And I was stealing.
Yeah.
I wasn't stealing from people I know,
Right.
But it's still.
There's a fine line.
There's a fine line, exactly. And I had to keep cleaning up.
Right.
Stuff that I didn't do. You know what I mean?
Right. So now you get out 97.
Yeah, I get out in 97. And that would only last 4 months.
Okay.
That's when I met you in that time.
Yeah.
I still hadn't learned my lesson.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I mean? You figure that I beat 3 strikes, I'd be done with it.
Right.
But I wasn't.
No.
So I got busted in August of 97. 2 weeks prior to me getting busted, I was in the hospital. Had a near-death experience in there. I had slammed some dope and my arm abscessed up. It almost killed me. I remember I was at High Desert Medical Clinic. 2 of the nurses there were friends of mine, and they put me in there as one of their cousins under a fake name.
Okay.
And I was in that hospital for like 2 weeks. I was in there for the first 3 days, and now this is when I started. This was my first introduction to opiates, Dilaudid and Demerol. I was getting one shot of one or the other every 2 hours. So every 2 hours, I was either getting a shot of Demerol or a shot of Dilaudid, and I stayed high the whole time I was in that hospital.
Jeez.
That was the best feeling, and I'm not going to lie, in the world. It was
Different.
I was in intensive care, and yeah, when they put me under, I saw some stuff that like happened yesterday. And like when it comes to like near-death experiences, like they have like 11 things
Right.
that will classify a near-death experience. I experienced 9 of the 11. The long tunnel,
All of it.
Light at the end of the tunnel. And it gives
Now,
me
so
chills
you-
just talking about this. So what I remember, how it first started was, I remember I was just like floating there, and I had like this silvery gray tunic on, like the Romans or the Greeks used to wear. And I was floating off the ground, probably about 4 inches. And the first thing I did is I looked over my shoulder to see if I had wings. Nope. If you're not born in heaven, you don't have wings. So people think that when they die, they get wings. That's not true. That's absolutely not true.
Okay.
You have to be a celestial being to have wings. You have to be born an angel.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I started floating down this hallway, and there was like those Greek columns. There was like open air rooms. And I remember going by this one like anteroom, and there was like these black spots on the wall, but there were also like pictures. Like if you're in a room with thousands of pictures and they're all moving, like the Harry Potter stuff,
Yeah.
how the pictures move and stuff. And those were things, and I took this like this. Things from my past, things that were happening now, and the black spots were things yet to come, my future. Okay, that's how I interpreted all that. So I'm still floating, and I remember I hear a gentle voice tell me, he goes, I'm going to remove your burdens. And that's one of the signs, like if you have a near-death experience about burdens,
Okay.
like all my guilt, everything was lifted off of me. I felt reborn. There's nothing, I cannot explain how that feels. There's no drug on this planet that'll make you feel like that. Nothing will make you feel that good, ever. This is why I believe in God, straight up, because of what happened to me. Because I got to experience something that not a whole lot of people probably have.
Right.
And the two missing elements of mine were I didn't see any loved ones there, because most of my family was all alive at this time.
Right.
And I couldn't create my own like reality,
Okay.
like your own little plane of existence.
Understood.
I couldn't do any of that. And those are like two, I guess, big ones. I don't know.
Right.
But the voice, it was like, for some reason, I see a stack of wood, trees, grass, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And that's when the voice told me about that. And I experienced my guilt being lifted off of me.
But it didn't stop you.
Didn't stop me. And then the light at the end of the tunnel, that's all true. The light at the end of the tunnel. I was going down the hallway, and it was like a checkerboard floor, tile floor, like marble floor,
okay.
Black and white checkers. Gold. I remember going by this staircase. It had all these golden lamps going up the staircase, and there was like a fog like you'd see in the movies in the doorway. And I turned to go up there, and the voice said, don't go up there. So I didn't go up the stairs, because I think that was God's throne room. Seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I feel, because of that voice. And I know that was God. It was Jesus.
And this happened while you were at the hospital.
At the
OD'd.
hospital. Well, I didn't OD. I abscessed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they had to do surgery on me.
Okay.
And this was happening while I was in surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they put you under.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And that's why I know I passed. For how long? I don't know. The nurses wouldn't tell me. I'm thinking about 90 seconds, probably. Anyway, I'm floating down the hallway, and I see a door. And it's just like a normal wooden door that's got like the 4 panels, like with a cross in it. You got the 4 panels, and above it is a half circle, pie wedged, like stained glass. And this bright light's coming from behind it. It's coming from the cracks in the door. It's coming through the keyhole and everything. And the minute I touched that doorknob to open it, I felt a gentle push. And it says, he told me, he goes, it's not your time yet. And I watched myself spin down into my body, as they were taking me out of the operating room to the intensive care unit where I was at for recovery.
Right.
And I popped up on the bed and I said, "What happened?" And the nurse had this look on her face. She goes, "I'm not saying nothing." I said, "What the hell?" Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, and I don't really talk much about that near-death experience.
No. And it's...
And it happened to me. I experienced it, and it sits in my mind like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
And that was over 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like 27 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So from there, now you're coming out of the hospital, right?
Right. Yeah, I got paranoid while I was in the hospital, and they took me out to do...
We're in 97 still.
Yeah.
End of 97.
End of 97. I was paranoid, so when they took me to 10th Street West, the hospital, I can't remember the name of the hospital that was between J Avenue K on 10th West. They used to have a hospital
Antelope
there.
Valley, ain't it? It's still Antelope Valley Hospital, I think.
I don't know. I think it's all changed or whatever. I was supposed to do some rehab there. They left me alone in a room. I took the IVs out of my arm. Gone. In the hospital gown, ran across the street because I knew some people that lived across the street from there. I went over to their house. I'm wearing a hospital robe and a pair of underwear. That's all I had on, and some slippers. Yeah. And the first thing I did, didn't even think about it, wanted to get high. Still had the IV hooked up in my arm.
Straight to the IV.
Straight to the IV.
Man.
Yeah. And then I'd get busted 2 weeks later. Yep. For evading. Simple evading. 2 counts. Gave me 25 to life for each count, plus 31-year prison priors. Total of 53 years to life. Jury deliberated in less than 20 minutes. Found me guilty. And the way they got me on my strike package this time, because all that stuff was gone, they took a fingerprint card from God, I can't think of what it was. But anyway, they wrote, and this is in pen, this isn't typed or nothing. They wrote in parentheses, burglary 459, counts 1 and 2. And it was for, it was on a receiving stolen property fingerprint card. Yeah. And then they used my prison ID from the last prison term.
Right.
Right? So now they had a complete strike package.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
25 to life twice.
Yep. And then they gave me 53 to life. And I did 17 years on that. I did a third of that sentence. And then went to Delancey Street for 2 years.
Which that's like a rehab program.
Yeah.
Kind of like our Pier 1 out. I mean, kind of like our Pier 1 program.
Their philosophy is that they take the bottom 2% of society and teach you communication skills.
I'm a fan.
Oh, this place is badass. I'm still in contact with a lot of people I was there with.
Yep, I love it.
You know what I mean? And it's a bare minimum 2-year program. You could stay there. You can ask them if you could keep staying and stuff. I asked to stay, but they didn't want me to stay because they knew I'd been incarcerated so long that pretty much I needed to be out. So, yeah. So I was gone for pretty much 19 years before I came back home. And it didn't end then either.
I was just gonna say, and it didn't end then.
It didn't end then.
So let's refresh here. So you go all throughout your whole life, all the way through, in and out of jail. Dad gives you opportunities. Jail gives you opportunities. God gives you opportunities.
Yeah.
Life sentences gives you opportunities. Probably being honest with you, from what I hear, outside of Pier 1 and Delancey Street, I think probably one of the best drug rehabilitation programs in the world. Yeah. I mean, being honest with you, I mean, I've heard so much about that place.
Yeah, Delancey, it's badass.
Oh, and I know that the program I went through, they were based off of them too. They're like
see, they have judges that go there on tours.
Right.
They have.
I wish they had more of it.
District attorneys that go there
Absolutely.
So that, and I mean, San Francisco, that's the one thing about San Francisco. They're really good. During the three strikes epidemic, they only struck out one person the whole time that law was in effect. The city of San Francisco only struck out one person.
Right, because they want to rehabilitate people.
And then when they changed the law and Prop 36 changed it for us in 2012, I got out in December of 2013. I never thought I was going to see the light of day, you know.
Yeah, but even thinking that, here we are now, right? Delancey Street,
Yeah.
You're out. Not done yet.
Not done yet.
Nah.
No,
why should you be?
Because I worked out of the Delancey Street in Los Angeles. I was working for Wolfgang Puck's, one of his restaurants in LAX called Marketplace.
Yep.
So I was working there until I could save up enough money, and my wife picked me up. She'd already sent me divorce papers while I was into, but she still was my wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
She stayed with me for the 17 years I was in there, but she knew I wanted a divorce. It was just a marriage of convenience.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. And I got out, wasn't screwing around for a minute. I think it was about 2 weeks before I started screwing around. But then it started falling back. I went up to San Jose. My buddy lived up there. I was working at one of his it was a credit card processing company. They sell credit card processing machines.
Okay.
There's a lot of money involved in that. Whew. Anyway, I was working for him for a minute, but a guy I was in Delancey Street with lived in San Jose too, like 5 miles from where I was staying. But he didn't graduate from Delancey Street. He walked away. But he was slinging mass quantities.
Okay.
I fell right back into it again. Started getting into that shit again. But at this point, I mean...
Did you stay clean the whole time you were locked up for this?
Oh, no. Oh, hell no. That's... When I told you about the introduction to opiates, right. I started doing a lot of heroin when I was inside.
Okay. I just want to know
during
where
my
you're
life
at in your
sentence.
mind frame. So,
yeah, during my life sentence. I was hooked on morphine pills for 3 years. I was getting 630s every day. And I'd save them up and crush them and not out all night. Be out. Did it for 3 years straight. It was crazy.
So now you're San Jose.
Yeah.
You meet up with the guy from Delancey Street.
Yeah. And he started hooking me up, and I started taking stuff from there to the Antelope Valley. Back and forth.
And this was
2000. This was in 2016.
16. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was all bad. I don't want to talk about it, my prior romances and all that crap. Right, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, I still didn't learn. And
did you catch any more cases after that?
Oh yeah. Caught another one. But this time it was different.
Okay.
Yeah, they were going to try and strike me out. They told me straight out, if you take this to trial, we're going to get you for robbery. He goes, if you lose in the box, I said I didn't rob nobody. I was going to take it to 12 in the box because I'm not going to cop to something I didn't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was petty theft out of some grocery store. I forgot what it is on 10th West and Avenue K.
Okay. I
can't think of the name of it right now. And when the cops came and busted me, cop looks me in the face and goes, "You're going down for 211." I said, "Who robbed somebody?"
Yeah. You
know what I mean? I stole $16 worth of merchandise out of there. And the crazy thing again, had money in my pocket.
Yeah. Weird how that works.
Is that stupid or what?
Yeah, for real.
For real. And so I'm going back and forth to court. I'm in jail now, LA County Jail. This was in 2020. Yeah, 2020. I'm in jail, looking at 3 strikes again. And then my attorney asked me, he goes, "Would you be willing to do a program?" I said, "What kind of program?" He goes, Tarzana. I go, "Am I going to get out of jail?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, you'll be on probation and everything. They'll be testing you, but we can get you sent to the Tarzana,
which is a rehab.
Yeah, so they took me from like a maximum security down in LA County or Supermax and stuck me in Medium South, which was like
lovely.
Yeah.
For jail.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go through this quick. I was there for 3 months or whatever, do 90-day program there, right? And they didn't say I had to go to an actual rehab. They took me back to court, told me, yeah, you got to report, and they cut me loose. So I walk over to Sierra Highway from the courthouse.
Did you stop?
Nope.
My God.
I went and checked in with Tarzana and everything, and they did my
intake.
I think I went to 2 classes. That was it. And after that, I ran. Had a warrant for my arrest in 2021. And God works in mysterious ways. I'm not kidding you, because now I'm thinking all that stuff's off the table. They let me redo the program.
Okay.
And this time, now they're sending me to a rehab. And I went to one in Venice. It was right on the boardwalk. And this was when I knew I was done.
Okay.
I was done.
All right.
I was absolutely done. I took my recovery at this point very serious.
What year is this?
2021.
Okay.
Yeah. Took it. I said to myself, enough's enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm 58. I was like 54. Well, I've been clean 54. I've been clean now for 4.5 years.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And
that's huge coming from your background, brother.
Yeah, because I should be dead.
Yeah. Or locked up for life.
Yeah. You know what I mean? God gave me another chance.
Again.
So when you're done with something, you're done with it.
Right.
I don't care what NA or AA or any of those meetings and all that, those are great. Great. If that's how it's going to keep you clean, more power to you.
Right.
But you have to be done.
Absolutely.
You don't think about it. I don't think about it anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? Even when I was freshly clean, I knew I was done.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just did. And I knew that was going to save my life.
Right.
You know?
You stay clean.
And stay clean.
Moved to Colorado.
Yeah, I got 4 years. It's 2025. So 2021, October of 2021 is when I got clean.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If I can do it,
yeah,
anyone can do it.
Right. You just got to want to be done, you know, and this is, I'm going to share this too, you know, because of the fact that, you know, you were talking about like when you got out of Delancey Street and you met up with the guy, you know, I mean, 2 things that I always tell everybody when I talk to them on here, you know, the 2 things is this, is you're only as good as the company you keep.
Exactly.
You know? And if you keep shitty company, you're gonna end up doing dumb crap. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is this is, and I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but in one of the interviews, you know, if you don't let go of that reserve, you know, you're always gonna resort back to that reserve.
Right. So that's the thing, and the big thing for me was I cut everybody loose.
Right.
That was using.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. Something, you know, and
I was working, and I was a caretaker at the fairgrounds in Lancaster. I lived on the property there, and I worked there during the day.
Right.
And I lived there for free.
A lot of times recovery is lonely, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the big thing. I think recovery is lonely, but you know what? You gotta, I mean, you're talking 40 years of addiction.
Yeah.
You have to retrain your brain to have to do stuff that you want to do new and find new ways to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing is I always remember for myself is I remember going to prison or jail and multiple chances that I had. And I always kept a reserve on the back. If this job doesn't work out for me, I don't know what else to do but sell drugs. You know what I mean? So as long as you have that and that's what they call the reserve. And then
Reserve,
Delancey Street
right.
taught you that. I know they did.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you have that something on that back burner, when things don't go our way, we're going to take that back burner.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the crazy part is because, you know, you obviously have a purpose. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
you got a beautiful wife now. You got a awesome apartment. You got a car. You got an awesome job. You got good friends. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
And now it's time for you to relax, work, make some money, and chill. You know what I'm saying?
The two bigs with me were, I was able to stay clean because like I said, I was done with it.
Right.
First thing I did is I cut everyone loose.
Yeah.
And then for probably a little over a year, that's when it came out here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's another thing. Location's key too. Because we already know the Devil's Armpit's the Antelope Valley.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like straight hell.
Well, you know, and the other thing, Mike, is you know, when I was talking to the other guys, we can run as far away as we want,
Right.
man. We could go to China, dude.
Right.
But guess what? At the end of the day, we're still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what I always find crazy is when I hear people say that in recovery. Is like, dude, I went to Ohio, man, because I had to get away from LA. And it's like, you are LA, brother. You know what I'm saying? You are LA.
Well, no, the thing was I was clean.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I ran first and then got clean.
Right.
I was clean for a while.
Because you wanted it, though. That's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
If people don't want it, you can run all you want. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I did Misty and Jesse's interview, you heard multiple times in their thing, they ran to different states, 3 different states, 3 different counties. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and they, everywhere they looked, the drugs are there because they wanted it. You know what I mean? So
I live a simple life now.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Absolutely.
I don't make a ton of money, but I make enough to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I got good friends out here. I got some good friends at work.
Yeah.
And it's good. And my job, there's always room for advancement.
Right.
So I'm getting ready to look into truck driving school through that.
So I don't want to dig too far into your stuff, but I do want to ask you something that I know that people probably would love to hear.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with sharing it, I wouldn't mind taking a few more
Sure.
minutes for you to share it. At some point, what happened with your mom and dad? Because I know you left that out, and I know that was a big key thing, and I know that's a feeling thing because I seen it when we brought it up about where they were at. And I just want you to, you know, and the reason
Sadly, my mom and dad have both passed away.
Right. Now, were you out when this happened?
Yes, but my sister didn't tell me.
Okay.
She won't talk to me. She lives up in Tehachapi. I tried to go and see my dad a few years ago. And
now, did she not tell you because of the person you were before?
This was in 2020. I tried to go and see my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they keep you out of the loop because of the person you used to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was still that person at this point.
Okay.
When I did try to go and see him up in Tehachapi.
Okay.
Because they lived in a gated community where they have a guard shack.
Right. And
you're not supposed to blow through the thing.
But you always did.
I stopped at the window and she goes, "You got to turn around." She opened up the gate and I kept on going. Boom. Nice. Yeah, I wanted to see my dad. And the last thing my sister ever told me, and I'll never forget this, she goes, "How smart could you possibly be? You've been in prison your whole life." Yeah.
Punch in the throat, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I started crying. Had somebody with a phone videoing everything. So she couldn't call the cops and say I tried to threaten her or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? Because my sister's like that. You know.
Well, I just wanted to ask, I didn't mean to pick no scabs.
Yeah, no, it's all right, bro.
I just want to, you know, I know you left it out, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I know I do these interviews.
My mom and dad, they came to see me a couple of times while I was doing my life sentence because I was in solid ad. Before I paroled, they came and saw me.
Well, so you did at least get to see him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did get to see him when I got out of Delancey Street. When I was in Delancey Street, I had a day pass. Had to drive all the way from San Francisco to spend the day with my mom and dad for about 4 hours before I had to drive back.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, that was a trip. We left at like 4 a.m. got there. We had lunch with my mom and dad and spent a few hours with them. And then we had to drive back. But no, I stayed at my mom and dad's when I got out of Delancey Street. My ex-wife actually took me up to Tehachapi. And I stayed with them for about a week. And then that's when my buddy up in San Jose, my lifelong friend I've known since we were kids,
Right.
said, get an Amtrak and come up here. He goes, I got you a job. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate that, Mike. I know
Yeah.
I know that stuff's hard to talk about sometimes, but it's good to just throw it in that story because the stuff that, all this stuff, I know that for me, that's one of my regrets.
The one regret I've really got is my mom and dad didn't get to see me change into the person I am now.
Yeah, they're watching over you, brother. They're proud of you, and know that.
It chokes me up sometimes.
Yeah.
And I hope they know.
They know
that
Trust
I love
me.
them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I know they love me.
You're a good man now, brother, and they know
Yeah.
that. Trust me, I promise you.
Yeah.
I know for a fact they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're watching over you, and they're proud of you, man, for the person
Yeah.
you have become. You know what I mean? Never were a bad person, man. It's just drugs bring
just
the ugly side of the ugly side of us, man.
Drugs warp your brain, and then prison warps your brain. And when you combine the two, that's when you're institutionalized.
Right.
And that's when they call it the fuckets or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't care about nothing or nobody.
Nope.
You have no disregard for anybody.
I agree, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, Mike, and thank you for coming back and finishing your story up, man.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do, because of everything, I'd like to come back maybe towards the end of the year or something like that, or maybe let's do like something on your clean day or something like that. Let's get you in here.
Okay, that'd be in October.
Yeah, let's get you back in here in October, and let's talk about your sobriety stretch. Now that you're sober, let's because that's a story in its own. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody thinks and it is. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier. But let's talk about where you're at. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
All right. Sounds good, brother. I appreciate you.
Yep.
And thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, so my work also has a school program, and I'm finding out that I could get a job, paid training, to get a CDL
Right.
through them. But the thing is I'd have to drive big rigs for them for at least 2 years. I already know that's going to be a 2-year contract. If they train you and everything to drive their semis.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be a bad thing. I'd be making more money.
Cool, man. Well, I'll get this edited up. Hopefully I can get it edited up, and I'll put yours up tomorrow. So that way it'll go with the other one I just put up on Sunday.
Cool.
All right?
Yeah, right on, Mark.
Of course, brother. Awesome story, man.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I mean, I could have made this a 5-parter, just going into detail.
Yeah,
the war story
but it was
part,
good.
But I don't want to.
Yeah,
I'm not into that. I really don't want to talk about that. It's about how I progressed, and I didn't learn from my mistakes until when I got finally to a rehab, and I was able to express myself in the way that I needed to.
Right.
And it was cool. I knew I was done. All right,
brother. Well, I appreciate you. I'll get this all done up and
yeah.
go from there.
All right.